Hello and welcome to the video walkthrough getting started with web authoring using Kompozer. Now this video is just kind of a complement to what occurred in the webinar this evening where some of the dialog boxes and things weren't really showing up. But this is also will be a much more structured walkthrough of creating a website. A web shell that will address most of the criteria from the web shell assignment due next Monday. So as I mentioned in the webinar, one of the key things to have in place prior to putting together and starting to build your website is a plan and collecting resources and having a general structure and that sort of thing. And then also file and folder organization is extremely critical as well. So what I've done is gone ahead and collected some materials. So here I have an EME 6700 sites folder, and I have some a CV, which is my non-web internal file that I'll be linking to. I have a series of images that I've collected. And here I want to go ahead and start setting up my file and folder structure. So the first thing I'm going to do is a multimedia shell. And I can go ahead and drag the images in there and there. So the images, anytime I want to insert an image into my shell folder, I can just go to this folder and insert those particular images. So it's just an organizational tool. So if I were to do my final multimedia project and have other things like videos or audio, or maybe just a media folder, I might have something like that, depending on how complex my site was. Those are just ways to help you organize accessing the content and placing it and that sort of thing. Then another site I'm going to have is an ePortfolio. In our next week's webinar, we're going to start working with CSS and divs from a template, and in doing that, we'll actually start developing our ePortfolio. We'll get into this more in announcements. So anyway, so here's our general structure. And what we'll do is, like in Dreamweaver, we'll set up a site manager, or via the site manager, we'll set up a connection. The problem I have with the site manager in Kompozer is that I don't think it's super user friendly. So I also recommend using CyberDuck or another FTP tool just as just to help manage that process, because it's difficult to see what's on the web in Kompozer, in my experience. So, because it only shows the local view. So having that kind of CyberDuck connection where you can go and see what the remote files are, making sure everything worked well, is useful. And I actually just use it externally, typically as my FTP tool if I'm using Kompozer. So we have our content kind of set up here, and we'll start referencing this folder in a minute when we set up our site. And then the second thing we have is a plan. So I've gone ahead and just kind of whipped together a little storyboard here. I have like a little tab, UCF tab. I have a header here with this web authoring sample. I have a table here with all of the navigation. I have an image here. I have some placeholder text, and then I have created by and an email link, and then the date here. And this is the general structure I'm going to have for each page, except for the web editors. I'm going to have the same structure, but over here I'm going to have a graphic logo of one web editor. Here I'll have a second one, and then I'll have a link and descriptions of the web editors here. I'll follow that same process for the protocol, file transfer protocol, and then the contact page will look more like this home page here. I'll probably only get to about the first three pages today, and we'll upload those, so that should be enough for you. But this will be the general look and feel of the site. So let's get going. So real quickly, the interface here, if we look up here, we have our file, nothing really crazy here, your basic stuff, open, save as, all that stuff, edit, here's your cut, copy, paste, insert. You see, we're not going to use this insert too much, but there are some items there, finding, spelling and grammar, etc. View, again, zooming in kind of things, hiding your sidebar, those kind of things. Go, I don't really use too much at all. Tools, we'll talk about some of these, but not much. Really, there's not a lot here. And then the window. So there's not a lot going on in these menu tabs, but where the real functionality is in these icons up here and then the associated interface. So here we have our new open, save, publish, which will be important, browse, undo, redo, anchor, inserting an anchor, inserting a link, inserting an image, inserting a table, inserting a form, inserting HTML, inserting CSS, which we'll start talking about next week. And then you have your formatting items here, and then some more formatting tools here. And then we already have our first page open here. Over here we have our site manager, which we'll work with in just a moment, and then the FTP console to kind of show you what's going on, what's been uploaded, what hasn't. And then note down here at the very bottom we have our 3 site views. We have a design view, we have a split view, and then we have a source view. One of the other issues with the split view is that it only shows the split, the code of what's selected. So instead of the whole page like in Dreamweaver. So that's another kind of drawback I have, but it is a nice open source tool for web editing. So I'm going to go to the design view, and that's what I'm working with mainly here. And I'm just going to follow the same process that I started last time within Dreamweaver. But before I get going with the pages, I want to go ahead and set up my site. So I'm going to go to my site manager here. And if you click here, you have refresh. You have a new folder, you have rename a file folder, you have delete, or you also have edit the site list. So I'm going to click on edit the site list, and I'm going to select my folder, my root folder, just like I would, and that's EME 6507 sites. I'm going to choose that, and I might call it just EME 6507 as my site name. Again, my directory is going to be the site folder, EME 6507 sites. My website information is just going to be rhartshorn.com, and this will take you to your root folder. So then I'm going to go to the FTP settings. The publishing address is just rhartshorn.com. The username is dochartshorn, or whatever your username is at rhartshorn.com, and then the password. And I'm going to save this password, so for future it's easy, and I'm just going to click OK at that point. So now I see that I have my stuff already done. This DS store, just don't worry about that. These things just kind of pop up. It's working on a Mac. That's kind of the issue here. But I have my audio, all of those individual files that I mentioned previously. So delete some of these. And then there's nothing in my shell. So I'm just going to get going with the content. Now, one thing that I do want to do is format my page first. So first thing I'm going to do is go to page titles, and I'm just going to call it EME 6507 web sample. I'm not going to worry about the author or the description or the language, so that's okay. And that's what's going to, actually let me modify that. Format page title. I'll call this home, and then I'll modify that on each individual page to be, the FTP, the authoring tools, or the contact page. And I'm going to go to format again and go to page colors and backgrounds. And here I can use some custom colors. So normal text, let's say I want to make it like maybe a darker gray, kind of maybe like a, so, and you can get the hex colors here. Link text, I'm going to make it a more vivid blue. I just like that kind of vivid color a little bit more. So maybe something, there we go. And then you can play around with these, active link, or whatever. I am going to change the background because I did want to have that kind of lightish color. So let's see if I can get something a little lighter here. We'll start with that. Then I have a background image if I want, and then you can go into an advanced edit as well, but we're not really going to get into that too much. Okay, and we're good with this. So now I'm going to start creating my content. So I'm going to insert a table, and I want to do it precisely, and I want to make it one row, 2 columns. I want to make it 80% of the window, and I want a border of 0. I click OK, And I select this and I want to center it. So table, and the alignment is center. So when you double click on the table, it'll give you the editing tools. And so here I can go to spacing between pixels and the spacing between cell border and content. That gets rid of some of those spaces when you view it on the web. And then here I'm just going to click up here and drag this over to something like that. Okay, and I'm just going to go here and hit EME 6507 web authoring sample home. Might left align it. Go here and insert an image by clicking on the image. Find the image location by clicking on the folder icon. Select the UCF tab and click OK. Make it 125. And it makes you supply alternate text, so the alt labels, which is excellent because Dreamweaver does not do that. And then I'm just going to kind of drag this over until I get to it's 125, which is the width. Perfect. And this right here, I'm going to go ahead and kind of delete this and maybe enter it a few times. Work on the font size here, increasing the size to get it to where I want. Okay, make it a little bigger. Boom. Okay, and I double click on the cell. And click on the cell. Here, maybe I can vertically align it and horizontally center align it if I want. Kind of play around with that. The width of the cell is a percentage, so I don't have to worry about that right now. The background color is the one thing I want to play around with here. And in this case, I would want to select, they don't have an eyedropper here. So what I would probably do is try and find the hex code for this right here, or try and find something relatively close to it. I'm going to go with that, even though it's probably not really great. It's more of an orangey color, but it serves its purpose right now. So now I'm going to simply go to table, precisely do 1 row, 4 columns, border of 0. Go ahead and go to that advanced edit, and okay, we're good here. Cell, we want the horizontal alignment of the cells to be centered. We want the vertical alignment to be middle. Text wrapping we don't want. We want the 0 and the 0 for the cell padding and the cell spacing. We have the space here, so we're going to delete this. Select the table. We want the table itself to be centered. Okay. And then if we select each of the individual table cells, we can go to cell and we can do percent of the table. I don't really need that for the width, but for the 25% for each of those. So these are all equal in length and size. Home, web authoring, FTP, and contact. Let me try this again. this should be 25 by default, but here we go. Okay, so now they're all equal distant. I'm going to highlight them all, center them. I'm going to go to a new table, precisely one row, I'm sorry, 2 columns, 2 rows, 1 column. I'll get it right eventually. And here we definitely want this table centered. Okay. And we're going to select this, go to the cell. We want a cell background white. So we could just go in here and just select white. Okay. And then we'll go to the table, background color. And I think we use this one here. It's an awful color, but y'all get the gist of it. We can do a regular picking by going and looking at the hex color online and finding that. So, okay. So now here we're just going to go created by date. Okay. So for the email link, we're just going to go to Insert, Link, and then we're going to say the above is in, we're going to type in richard.hartshorn@ucf.edu, and say the above is an email link, and it will put in or an email address, and it'll make it an email link automatically. If we go to split view, we can see the mail to code, which is the code for a link. So before I go into adding content here, I'm going to go ahead and start. Let's get this navigation menu going. So I'm going to go ahead and save this as 4 pages. So I'm going to go File, Save As. So it's already, we're going to save it as index.html in mmshell, File, Save As, Authoring. Okay, so all of these pages are saved right now. This one right here is contact, so I want to go ahead and make sure that each of those have appropriate names in the file property. So this one's contact, so I'm just going to go to Format, Page Titles and Properties, and go Contact. Contact. Save. And then go ahead and open the others. You can do this a bunch of ways. So go to Format, Page. Okay. Just for space purposes, I'm going to put off. Go make sure I change this. Format, Page Properties. Okay, so now what I want to do is make this navigation menu. So I'm going to very quickly go to Home, and I'm going to go to insert link, click on this, the menu, and this is a little thing where it gets clunky. See how it's opening up to a different location each time, to not to my file. It should go directly into that file every time. So I'm just going to click on index. Okay, web authoring, I'm going to highlight that. See, it goes into my documents. It should just go direct, make it easy and go directly into my sites page. Okay, so now actually what I can also do here, I'll go ahead and do the internal non-web page. Click here to see CV, and then I'll highlight this and simply go to link, click on the folder icon, and then go to shell folder and select the CV. So now all of this is done. I can go here real quickly and just highlight this table. Copy and go to the authoring page. Highlight, paste, go to the FTP page. Highlight, paste, go to the contact page, highlight, paste. I could then go back to my home page, click on this CV thing, and obviously I want to save all of these, so save, save, save. And you can see the disk icon that was there. That was letting me know that I needed to save them because there had been changes made. So now I'm going to go ahead and just put insert text here. And this would just be placeholder text. And up here I'm going to insert an image. So I'm going to click on my image, click on the location, and it's my website banner image. And I want to say alternate text, internet logo. Dimensions are 238 by 194, that's fine. Appearance, these are all fine. Link, I'm not going to make it a link. The one thing I do want to do is center it. So when this goes in, I don't like it there, so I simply click, select it, click there. Here's my text, my placeholder text, kind of maybe get rid of some of the space here. And save this, and I'm good. So now I might want to play, I could copy and paste all of this, or I could just go to my authoring page, and here just go table, and I want to go table, 2 rows, 2 columns. I'm going to make it 100% of the width because it's in this cell, so I don't need to make it even smaller percentage of the page. So I'm going to go to 0, click OK here. Whoops. Edit, undo. Let's see what we did with this. Okay, so table, cancel. So table, insert table, precisely. We're going to 100% of the cell, border 0. Okay. So then here again, we can kind of play around with our widths. Click on these. Make these cells a width of maybe like 200 pixels, just to kind of play around. Content, we'll go middle and left align for the horizontal alignment. And you can kind of just play around. I'm going to leave it at white because we want it to kind of pop from the rest of the stuff. Maybe make these a little, give a couple So the web authoring tool is Amaya. So I'm going to say get Amaya. And Amaya is an open source tool that blah, blah, blah. And then here I will say get Kompozer. Okay, Kompozer is blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go here, insert an image. So we're looking for the Amaya image. When it's 225 by 225, I might play around with the size here and go 200. Okay. And I didn't put the alt text in, so Amaya logo. And then image. Again, select the location of it. Go ahead and make the dimensions custom size. We'll just make them like, I'm making like a 180 just because it's a little bigger and a little less white space. And I keep forgetting to do the alt labels. Kompozer logo. Okay, so I would probably play around with the sizes just for some consistency here. Maybe some context here below our two web editors, blah, blah, blah. Maybe delete some of this space here because it's a lot of white space at the bottom. You don't want too much white space. Maybe delete one of these, maybe both of these. Maybe even make this bigger, center it, whatever. And then you want to do your hyperlinks. So I'm going to go Amaya download. It's W3C. Okay. Copy that. So here I just go boom, insert link. Now here, this is an external link, so I want it to be open in a new window or a new tab. So I'm going to click OK there. And same thing with Kompozer. And I'm not going to do the other pages, but you'll. So I have this, get Kompozer, link, again, new window, and file save. Now I'm going to stop here because I would just repeat this process for the FTP. I would probably want the contact page to look a little bit more like the home page, but we would go in and add that content later. This is relatively simple. You can do these kind of things now with this walkthrough. It should pretty much get you on your way. So now we want to upload it to the web. So I'm going to simply select my multimedia, select this whole folder here, and I can select this here, or I can just select publish, site name, page title, authoring.html, but we want to do the whole site. So I'm going to cancel this, and I'm going to publish this entire, so publishing here publishes the individual pages. Publishing from here publishes the whole folder. So I'm going to select the publish icon here. And this is where it gets kind of clunky, in my opinion, is that there's no real kind of feedback here. So here, it's just for that one page, so it becomes a problem. Whereas here, I want to be able to publish the entire site. So what my preference is to, and sometimes this works nicely, but other times it doesn't. So my preference then is to use a tool called CyberDuck. And CyberDuck is extremely easy. I go to open connection, rhartshorn.com. I type in my username, dochartshorn at rhartshorn.com, my password, and I connect. And I just click continue. So now I see my CV there. That's from earlier. I was just kind of playing around. I see that I can just go in and I can drag my MM shell. I can drag in my ePortfolio. I get these little things that continue, continue. And it's very important where you put the content. So if I update this page, this contact page, I wouldn't want to just go and throw it over here. I would want to make sure that it goes into Shell. Or if I uploaded all the updated all of the pages, I would want to drag Shell at the same level to the point where I got something that said in the transfers, it said this page already exists. Do you want to replace it? So just like you would when you're replacing a document on your desktop or whatever. So now we have these uploaded. And even if I go back to Kompozer, I should be able to click on this. And now I see all of my pages there. But this is what I was getting at, where it didn't really tell me that it was doing it. So I didn't really see that it was there. So I prefer to use, and you can see here, timeout occurred. So I really prefer to just use CyberDuck for this, just because it's a little easier for me to get that kind of feedback that I want. So now we're going to test our site again. So it's rhartshorn.com/summer-2020/DocHartshorn/ So now one of the things that I do want to highlight is Dreamweaver, like it had the 6507 sites. When we set up our managed sites in Dreamweaver, this is invisible in the URL. It's not part of the URL. Whereas this right here, CyberDuck, is exactly, so starting from the root, your root folder, which is rhartshorn.com/summer-2020/ your username, anything that's in here is part of this URL. So if I were to drag this entire folder over, then that would be part of the URL. So I would go to EME 6507 sites/mmshell/index or whatever .html, whatever page we wanted to see. Okay, so there's some issues with this image logo here. So I'm not sure what that issue is, but we can figure that out later. And then I can go to Shell. So if I go to rhartshorn.com/summer-2020 .hartshorn/mmshell/ So here, there's some issue with the accessing that one page, that one link. So I'll have to go back and fix that. But if I go to Get a Maya, it comes open in a new window. The FTP link works. We didn't add any content there. The content link works. Web authoring, the CV downloads the CV, so we're good there. You can roll over this and you see the mail too, so we're good there. So the only issue I have to go back and fix is this UCF tab logo. If I go back to my page in Kompozer and I click on this, what I see is that it's going to this should work fine. So I may have to go into my code view, my split code. Actually, this is a one, yeah, so see how it says file : and this is another issue with Kompozer, is that it'll give the full path of the file. Well, all I need is for it to go in to do images/UCF tab.png. So I can, if I wanted to copy this for each of the, copy this, save. So if I go to FTP, you kind of get the same thing here. So I can just paste the, whoops, nope, cancel. Go to split view, paste this. This right here is the relative link that we want. So I'm going to save that. Go to authoring and go to split view. And I'll show you what this means in a minute. And then here, go to split view. Okay, and save. So what I want to do is look at this image here and notice how it says go into the source is images and go get website banner.png. So one way to troubleshoot is anytime that you see file : / blah 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 desktop whatever, then it's referencing the file on your particular desktop or wherever that location is. So you want to go in and make it a relative link. So here all I'm doing is saying go into my images folder from this home page. So here, go into my images folder and find website banner.png. So if I go here, for example, so from my index page to find this image, I need to go into my images folder and find website banner.jpg and then give it the specifications that I laid it out to. So that's one of the other kind of minor issues that sometimes images don't work very well. So here you see images / Amaya logo, images / Kompozer logo, but this is a quick and easy way to troubleshoot it. So that is Kompozer in a nutshell. Next week we will start working with CSS, but we're going to do it a little bit backwards in that we're going to work with templates where people have already created the CSS for us, and then we're just going to tweak the CSS to fit our content and tweak the HTML to fit what we want it to, our sites to show to the world. So that is all for this week. I hope these were useful, and I apologize for the webinar issues and the dialog boxes not coming up. What we'll probably do next week is split these up into a Kompozer and a Dreamweaver webinar separately to avoid any kind of such similar issues, hopefully next week. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And then there is the Thursday night Q&A session. Thanks.